morning. Call this meeting of the Fremont County Board of Commissioners to order. Got a little feedback there, Lenny. If you guys will please rise and join us for an invocation from Todd Luce from the Grandview Christian Church, followed by the pledge.
Would you bow with me, please? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come today and ask a blessing upon this meeting. We pray that you would be with the commissioners and help them to have wisdom and understanding in the things that are best for the county and for the people of this county. Lord, we pray that the issues that come up will be able to be solved or taken care of, Lord, in an easy way that benefits all that are involved, Lord. We thank you for all that you do and ask your blessing upon the day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Todd. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McFall.
Present.
Commissioner Bell.
Present.
Commissioner Grantham.
Here.
County Attorney Bellis.
Present.
County Administrator Croce.
Present.
Planning and Zoning Director Victoria.
Present. Thank you. We move on to approval of the agenda. No changes.
Mr. Chair, I also am unaware of changes today, so I move to approve today's agenda as presented.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is the consent agenda. Notice that we are not scheduling any public hearings today.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we move on to administrative and informational stuff. We'll start with County Clerk's monthly report. Mr. Justin Grantham, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you. Today's report is from August 2024. The total motor vehicle fees, sales tax, and recording fees collected for August of this year are $1,376,409.35. Of that, Fremont County's portion for disbursement is $739,415.09, which is 54% of the total fees and is $71,382.56 less of August of last year. Year to date, our office is down $27,527.20.
Interesting. Okay. Any comments or questions for Mr. Grantham? Entertain a motion.
Sure, Mr. Chair, I move to accept the county clerk's monthly report for the month of August 2024.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the August Clerk's monthly report. Any further discussion?
Just bring us a better report next month, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham. Aye. Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We'll move on to Administrator's report. Mr. Tony Croce, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. So we'll start off with the following job opportunities that are posted in Fremont County. With our Department of Human Services, we have a caseworker, an ongoing caseworker that closes October the 18th. We have an intake family assessment caseworker that closes on October the 31st. And we have a self-sufficiency case manager that closes on September the 18th. In our Fremont County Sheriff's Office, we have patrol deputy positions that closes on September the 26th. And we have an ongoing detention deputy position that closes on September the 19th. In our facilities department, we have a custodial opening that closes on September the 11th. And in our Department of Transportation department, we have an operator 1, 2, or 3 that is open until September the 26th. And then we have a labor position that closes today at 2 o'clock. For more information about employment opportunities with Fremont County, please visit our county website at fremontcountyco.gov or call our HR department at 719-276-7409. A quick update on the Grandview Bridge project, and I have pictures again. So all 10 girders have been set and surveyed for elevation and horizontal position. The girders are the long cement things that go across the, I don't know what you call it, the cement walls. A temporary construction access walkway has been installed where the final pedestrian portion of the bridge deck will be located. And that is, if you look here on the right side where the wood is, this is where the pedestrian walkway is going to be. But this is not for access by the general public right now. It's still a construction site, so please don't access that. Roadway embankment and subgrade construction for the approaches to the bridge is underway, and that's in the background on this picture. The new portion of the City of Canyon City water line that will cross the creek and attach to the bridge will be installed in the next couple of weeks. The first steps of the water line portion of the project are installation of the manhole, which is right here, if you can see the manhole, on the east bank, and the installation of the water line hangers on the bridge. Bridge deck panels are scheduled for delivery to the site tomorrow, September the 11th, and installation will follow shortly thereafter. And we had the pleasure last week to go watch those girders get set in place, which was really an interesting process. And then finally, the Veteran Service Office. The Veteran Service Office will be closed next week except for Wednesday, so it'll be open Monday, or it'll be open Wednesday and closed Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, as staff will be attending annual training in Colorado Springs. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. The bridge is quite a marvel watching them build it. It's kind of a small bridge compared to some, but it's pretty amazing watching it go up. Okay, we'll move on to others up here that may have something they would like to say. Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, sir. I actually have two really quick things. Item number one, next Saturday is Pioneer Day in Florence. And so that's a really, really big day for everyone in Florence. They have the parade starting at 10. We'll see you there. We'll all be there. And then all of the events happening throughout the city, but mostly in the park that afternoon. So hope to see you all there. The other thing I did want to mention is tomorrow is 9/11. It will be the 23rd anniversary of the towers falling and of the terror attacks here in the United States of America. One of the few times that we've been attacked on our own grounds. And I just would ask that everyone pay attention, remember that for a moment, maybe have a moment of silence, say a prayer for all of those lives who were lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Grantham?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We'll probably, at least make some mention of it. We did in our last meeting with our resolution on one of the initiatives, ballot initiatives in regard to hunting of mountain lions, and our opposition to that. There are a lot of ballot initiatives this year, and we're probably looking at a multi-page ballot, just because I think there are 7 referred measures and 7 citizen initiatives that will be on the ballot. There could have been 9, except for special session, and that coaxed the sponsors of that 2 of those particular initiatives to remove those 2 tax measures off of the ballot. And so now we're down to a meager 14 ballot measures on the upcoming November ballot. That being said, there are many on there that it's a mixed bag. I would encourage everyone to study them thoroughly. There's plenty of information online for many of these initiatives. Feel free to ask me what I think on many of them, and I will tell you. There are some that are just bad, like the one we had the resolution on. There are some that are, I think, good for Colorado, and we still need to support those and try to get those across the finish line. One of the referred measures, I think, is beneficial for our counties and our elections offices. giving them extra time, I think, on the front end for the ballots. So it's a minor change in statute, but I think it's a big deal for our clerks and being able to have the time to get the ballots. Well, the clerk could probably explain that better, exactly how that works, but it's all voodoo science to me. But I would encourage you, if you don't know, find out before you get into the last day of the election to figure out what you want to do on all those initiatives. There's 14 of them, so please inform yourself and vote accordingly. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Clerk Grantham, do you want to expand on that, please, sir?
Absolutely. So with the 7 initiatives and 7 referred measures, there's going to be, if you live in Canyon City, you get 3 questions, 2 from the Canyon City Recreation District, 1 from the city of Canyon City. So you will get a whopping 17 questions on your ballot. If you live in just the rec district outside of the city, you get a whopping 16 questions on your ballot. So all the fun, but as Commissioner Grantham was mentioning, this is the time to do your research. Blue books will be out in October. The Tabor books for the 3 local questions will come out in October as well. Those are sent by my office. Blue book is sent by the state. So absolutely, be looking into all the questions that are on the ballot, but you also have the presidential election, the congressional district election, CU region at large, House district for our local one, DA, county elections, there's 3, Commissioner 1, Commissioner 3, county surveyor. So just know that's coming down the pipeline. We were going to have a question from Rockvale, but they are not, but they do have a municipal election coming up. So if you're in the town of Rockvale, you'll get to vote on some trustees and a mayor. So it's just a lot for everybody, and I highly encourage that you update your voter registration and your address with my office so that when the ballots get mailed out mid-October, you have the chance to review all the questions. And then if you want to vote that ballot, you can always return it to my office or vote in person. But at least you have a chance to see the question and determine how you're going to vote, and not at a whim at the voting center at 6:45 at night before it closes. So yeah, fun times with that. But GoVoteColorado.gov is where you update your voter information, or come to 615 Macon down on the lower level toward the west end of the building. You can update your registration information at the election office as well. And then, just so everybody knows, UOCAVA ballots get mailed out or emailed out Saturday next week. So as of Saturday next week, this is a place that issues ballots, this building is, so electioneering will not be allowed within 100 foot of this building at that point. So just keep letting everybody know that's, election is right around the corner, so let's get this thing done and over with. Let's go to 2025.
So, quick question, you said that they can update their information, but what if they're not registered to vote? They can also go to GoColorado?
Yeah, you can register up into 6:59 at night at any voting center, or you can go to govotecolorado.gov and register to vote, or cancel your registration if you're no longer a resident here in Colorado. So all that wonderful stuff. And for all the millions out there, if you're not a resident of Colorado, I highly encourage you to cancel your voter registration here and register to vote where you live now. So
Okay.
whichever state that is.
Thank you. Okay, just a couple quick things that I have. Colorado Counties Incorporated, which we're a member of, we're already starting to work with them on several potential bills that are going to come up in the next session. So it's already getting kind of exciting. It's everything from behavioral health to highway stuff to just you name it. There are some county-led legislation also that we've been discussing for a couple of months now, I guess. And some of those are good for counties, and some of them are not so good for counties as well. So we'll have a spirited debate about those within CCI, and then find sponsors of those that do pass on through to go to the legislators to debate. So fun times are already starting. I guess we'll use that term loosely. But we're keeping an eye on everything, because there are a lot of things that affect Fremont County that are some positive and a lot not so positive. So we need to keep our heads up and protect the rural Colorado and Fremont County. And then real quickly, can't go on without talking about fire danger. If anybody's watched the news, the western part of the United States is burning up again, California, Idaho, Oregon. We have that potential here, and thank God we don't have any big fires yet, but the potential is out there, so just be very careful while you're out and about. With those fall winds blowing like they typically do, a little spark could go a long way, so be very careful and diligent while you're out there. Anything else up here? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I forgot to mention this. I should have mentioned it earlier. There is a detour happening at Grandview and Ute down near where the bridge construction is. One of the water pipes busted, and my wife took a lovely video of the water coming out of the road. So don't go into that area where the bridge is at or in that Grandview Ute area right there. You're going to have to go the long way if you need to travel through that area.
Thanks. Okay. Moving on to the part where citizens who wish to address the commissioners for matters not scheduled on today's agenda. I don't have any papers, but if anybody would like to do that, now is the time. Nobody's rushing the podium. Okay. Move on. We have no old business, so we'll jump right into new business. The first order of business is a proclamation recognizing the prisoners of war and missing in action. It's a recognition day and designated September 20th, 2024 as Fremont County POW MIA Day. And we have Paula Bordeaux with us this morning, do we? Paula, you want to come on up she's a VFW Auxiliary President, I think that's right?
Correct. And you can bring up with you
Yeah, you can
whoever
bring up
you'd
whoever
like.
with you. So come on up, guys. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us. Okay. So I am Paula Boudreau, Auxiliary President at the VFW Post 4061 here in Canyon. Dana has been unable to attend today due to a recent injury and upcoming surgery. Several of our members are here today, as well as myself, to support Dana and now to represent her. She has asked that we convey her heartfelt gratitude and thanks for this proclamation today. And I do want to remind everybody that the event is going to be at the Post on North Cottonwood a week from Friday the 20th, which is National POW MIA Day from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. So thank you so much. And I do have lapel pins for all of you from Dana. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have Commissioner Bell read the proclamation,
Okay,
and then we'll pass that, and then we'll discuss it, and we'll...
okay.
We also do have a proclamation we would like to present to you. When we're done, we'll take a couple of pictures with that. So if you'd all like to stay right where you're at, that'd be perfect. Okay, thank you. This is a proclamation recognizing National Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Recognition Day and designating September 20th, 2024 as Fremont County POW MIA Day. Whereas since 1979, every American president has designated a National Prisoner of War Missing in Action Day each year. And whereas service members take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, knowing they may be called upon to make great sacrifices to ensure and sustain our shared values. And whereas these patriots accept those risks and rush to fulfill the mission, no matter how harsh or dangerous the conditions, and they embody the best of the American spirit. And whereas families and friends wait at home, anxious for news of their loved ones, accepting these sacrifices, although they also can cause great pain. And whereas currently more than 81,600 service members remain missing in action, causing great pain and grief compounded by a lack of closure to their family members. And whereas these families, including the sons and daughters, sisters and brothers, husbands and wives, parents and grandparents, continue to hold on to the hope that their beloved service member returns home. And whereas Fremont County remembers the debt we owe to our service members and their families and pay tribute to our former prisoners of war while remembering the difficult but essential task of seeking out answers for the families of those who are still missing. And whereas the Auxiliary of Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 4061 in Canyon City is preparing an event to mark this very special day to keep this sad, unresolved, and continuing issue in the public eye. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that the Fremont County Board of County Commissioners recognizes Friday, September 20th, 2024 as Fremont County POW MIA Day here in Fremont County. The county commissioners urge all people of Fremont County to observe this day of honor and remembrance with appropriate ceremonies and activities. With that, Mr. Chair, I would like to move approval of this proclamation recognizing this special day on September 20th of 2024.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve this proclamation. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I do, as you thought I might. So I think we have the opportunity here as commissioners in Fremont County to often talk about our veterans, about our service members, and this is another opportunity that we're so happy to be able to talk about those who are still missing in action, those who were prisoners of war, still may be prisoners of war. We don't know. That's the issue. We simply don't know what's happened to these folks. I remember being in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades growing up in Penrose, and I actually had one of those silver bracelets that had a prisoner of war name, birth date, and I believe day that they went missing in action. I remember all these years ago, more than 50 years, that's been a very long time, John Maxwell was the name that I wore on my wrist for 4 years in recognition of this. And so I just want to say this is something that continues to be near and dear to our hearts. I really do appreciate Dana Schwan, who is a Gold Star wife herself, contacting us and asking if we would be interested in doing this special proclamation. So I just wanted to say thank you to her and thank you to all of you.
I'll relay that to her. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being here today. We honored to be able to do proclamations like this and for remembrance for those that are honestly quite often forgot, because this goes back to in multiple conflicts, our list of POWs and MIAs. But it's an honor to be able to do this to help remember that. It's amazing to me that the number on there, 81,600, that are still POW MIA. And just for the millions listening around the world and watching this, we are surrounded by several actually highways that have been designated for purposes like this. I think 115 between here and the Springs is, I'm trying to remember the exact designation, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Highway. The highway between Cripple Creek and Divide is the POW MIA Memorial Highway. And so if you're out and about and you see those signs with those designations, just take note. There are a lot of folks around here that have want us to remember these folks, and the trio in front of us are amongst those that want us to remember, and we find it a privilege to take part in that and to help remember. So thank you all.
Yeah, I'll just echo what they said, and thank you guys for being here for this. I do the same thing driving around, and you see a POW MIA flag flying, and that's what you think of, is these folks that are missing. So God bless all you guys for doing this, and them as well, and thank Dana for bringing this to us.
Thank you so much.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now we're going to come up here and take a picture with you guys, all right?
Oh, great.
How you doing, sir? Good, good.
Yep, there you go. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. As mentioned before, it's an honor to be able to do proclamations like this and keep this in the forefront of everyone, as well as it is to do this next proclamation, and it is for kinship care, making the month of September kinship care, Fremont County. And I asked Tanya Sutton to come up.
And friends.
And friends. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us. I'd like to introduce Amy Maroney and Maria Ibarra. They are the ones that do the hard work every single day working with our families and supporting them. So somehow I keep ending up here reading these proclamations, even though I really try not to. But thanks again for having us. We consider kinship care one of the biggest areas that we try to support because we know it's one of the biggest areas that impact children and youth involved in our system. So we're really excited about the proclamation today, so I'll go ahead and jump into that. Whereas Fremont County is steadfast in the commitment to promoting the safety and well-being of our children and includes providing a stable household for all youth in which they can feel safe, be nurtured, and succeed. And whereas in 2023 across the nation, 3% of all children, more than 2.5 million, were in kinship care, a monthly average of 28,235 children in Colorado, and a monthly average of 30 children in Fremont County were raised with kinship families such as grandparents or relative caregivers who have stepped forward out of love and loyalty to care for their young relatives, providing them with a sense of connection, security, ties to their cultural heritage, their family, and their community. In 2024, Colorado's child welfare system reached a milestone when 50% of children and youth placed in foster care were initially placed with kin. This is the first time ever our state has met that goal. We are very proud to report that in Fremont County, between January and May of 2024, 100% of children entering foster care were initially placed with kinship care. Whereas kinship caregivers reside in rural, and suburban neighborhoods across Fremont County, and children, grandparents, and other relatives in kinship families face certain challenges. Therefore, partnerships among the educational, legal, social services, mental health, chemical dependency counseling, judicial, law enforcement, and other systems are important for ensuring access to services that can assist children and youth that are placed in kinship care be provided opportunities to flourish in all facets of their lives. Furthermore, Fremont County residents are asked to join in honoring grandparents, relatives, friends, and community members who step forward out of love and loyalty to care for at-risk children during times which biological parents are unable to do so. And whereas Kinship Care Month provides the opportunity to showcase the accomplishments in countless children and youth throughout Fremont County who, with the unconditional love and support of grandparents and other relatives, have successfully navigated the emotional difficulties that come from the separation of their parents, all Fremont County citizens are encouraged to raise their awareness and understanding of the importance of positive family environments that kinship families offer for many Fremont County children. We now ask that the Fremont County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim September 2024 Kinship Care Month in Fremont County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations on being 100% in Fremont County. That's pretty awesome.
That is an incredible number.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That talks about a lot of hard work from the staff.
It truly does, yes. They take the time to talk to the children and youth and really find out who their people are. Yes.
It's amazing.
Any other comments?
Well, in addition to a motion, I just beat the drum again every time we get to talk about this with you folks out there. The wonderful job that our DHS crew does in all these matters. And it's great to be able to do this proclamation, especially in light of the great numbers that we were just talking about. And as far as you always being here, that was by request of our finance director. And so we'll probably be seeing you even more come 2025. So.
And here, all this time, I thought it was because she did such a fabulous job for
Well,
us.
there is that part too, but
Bonus.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Kinship Care Proclamation proclaiming September 2024 as Kinship Care Month.
I second that with a couple of notes myself. First of all, just huge thank you to all of you who do this work. day in and day out. It's a tragedy when children of our community have to enter the system for any reason, but knowing that there are family members, there are grandparents, there are aunts and uncles, sometimes cousins, older sisters, older brothers, whatever it might happen to be, that those children are lucky enough to have those adults in their family that are willing to step up, that are providing a good, positive outcome for them. Eventually, it means everything, and I'm sure that you all know that. I'm not even going to try to preach to the choir, but just to let folks at home know that this really is an incredibly important program for the children of Fremont County, and we can't thank you enough for being here and doing this.
I agree. It's been moved and seconded to approve this proclamation declaring September 2024 Kinship Care Month in Fremont County, Colorado. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Can we get another picture? Yes, sir. Okay, here we come again.
Fair warning.
Morning, morning, morning. Sorry. Okay, thank you. On to item number 3 is request and issuance of a malt venison spiritus fermented malt beverage special events permit for St. Michael's Knights of Columbus Council, 2553, for an event at Pathfinder Event Center, 6655 Highway 115 in Florence, on September 28th from 4 to 12. And we have Riley Nelson here.
Riley was called out of town, yes.
Okay. If you'll push the front button on that speaker or microphone, it'll come on. And what's your name?
I'm Kevin Borey.
Kevin.
And I'm filling in for
Okay.
Riley.
Welcome. Will you tell us a little bit about the event?
The event basically started out as an Oktoberfest event. We selected to put it over at the county building over there at the event center. They've been very helpful. Nice building, by the way. It's scheduled for the 28th. They have a nice big polka band in there. The rest of the board members decided we should call it Polka Fest instead of Oktoberfest. Kind of confusing to me, but hey, that's what they wanted. So currently, it's set up. We're putting the whole thing together here. We're hiring 2 off-duty sheriff deputies to provide security over there. We'll be checking IDs, wristbands for people. There'll be no outside drinking areas outside of the building. Limited access, of course, to control the whole thing, and we're just looking forward to a nice party, I guess.
Polka Fest.
Polka
Yeah.
Fest.
Gotcha. All right, any questions for Kevin at this time?
Just one quick question, sir. You've already covered a lot of what I typically ask, but can you talk about the training that the servers have? Are you bringing them from an organization? Who's actually going to be serving and how will they be
Yes.
trained? Do you know?
Yes, we're actually using the Florence Brewery over there. They're providing local beer for us. And we've got a guy named Trent Brady who's gone through the bartender certification process. He is an experienced bartender, and he'll be running the actual bar.
Okay. Also, we typically like to use these meetings as an opportunity for you to kind of discuss your event a little bit. So you've already told us what's happening, what's going on. Would you like to mention if you have to have reservations? Are tickets required? Do you just show up? And what is that process?
Well, they will be selling tickets at the door. Currently, they've sided up with event
Eventbrite?
Eventbrite, yeah. And they are online, so you can buy your tickets online. Or if you find one of these little cards lying around, all you gotta do is take that picture, as long as you have your grandson with you to show you how to use the phone. And you can go right on that, direct you right to that. So we are pushing as many sales as we can, of course, within the limits of the building.
Okay, and what time does the event itself start?
The event will actually start at 6 p.m.
Okay,
and it probably ends up around 10 o'clock is the official shutdown time, of course.
okay, thank you.
That's a goal.
All right.
I noticed that's what the application said, but we have on our agenda here is a little different, but
Yep.
anyway, can I get a staff report, please?
So the application and supporting documents were turned in before the 45-day requirement. The Public Health Department reviewed the liquor permit application and event coordinator application and didn't report any deficiencies, so they recommended approval. No sheriff report has been received. County Attorney Bellis reviewed the file and didn't claim any deficiencies either. The public notice has been posted and proof sent 12 days ago. So that being said, clerk's office recommends approval.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, or motions?
I have a motion for you.
Okay.
Yes, this one again seems pretty straightforward to me. I wish you luck in your venture. And with that, I move to approve the issuance of a malt, Venice, and spirituous and fermented malt beverage special events permit, St. Michael's Knights of Columbus, Council Number 2553, for the event at Pathfinder Park and Event Center on September 28th from 4 p.m. to midnight are the hours.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve this special events permit as stated. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell,
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham,
Polka. Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Well, have a great Polka Fest. I hope it turns out great.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Would you do me a favor and get one of those slips by the door and write your name on it so we can have your correct spelling for the minutes?
Sure.
One of the,
There's a little slip over by the, used to be some on that podium, but I don't know. Yeah.
I'll put it on back of this card so you all can attend.
Okay,
perfect.
thank you. All right, moving on to item number 4, which is a temporary use permit 24-007, 950 Junction. The owner applicant is requesting a temporary use permit allowing a vintage flea market for 4 consecutive weekends starting September 14th and ending October 6th. The event will be conducted on private property owned by the applicant, Daniel Vinton, and Mr. Vinton is expecting 15 vendors and 2 food trucks for each weekend, and is estimated to have a maximum of 43 attendees at one time. The location is at 43880 West US Highway 50, Canyon City, and we have Tracy here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Tell us a little bit more about your junction idea here.
Absolutely. So I am Tracy Vinton, and my husband, Dan Vinton, and I do own the property at 43880 West US 50 here outside of Canyon City. And our idea is to, for the next 4 weekends, to have at most 15 vendors and at most 2 food trucks, although this first event would not have food trucks this coming weekend. There is no alcohol associated with this event. No, it's not ticketed or anything like that either. So the artisans and antique vendors, handcrafted, vintage, that type of thing. So almost kind of like an upscaled flea market, I would say, is what we're trying to do on that end of Highway 50. And we have done our traffic analysis. We have appeased CDOT with the asphalt there at the entrance of the property. So I believe we have met all of the approvals of the different entities, including the fire department. So we would like to have the next 30 days basically to put on 4 events of that type.
Okay. Any questions of her at this point?
Not at this time.
Okay, can I get a staff report, please? Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, everyone. Yep, so as Commissioner McFall said, this will be TUP 24-007, 950 Junction. The owner is requesting a permit from September 14th to end on October 6th. It will include 4 consecutive weekends of flea markets, 15 vendors, 2 food trucks, estimated around 43 or so attendees at one time. The location is on the top of 8 Mile at 43880 US Highway 50. This is the first time they are applying for a permit at this location. The property is zoned business. It's surrounded on 2 sides by business lots and 2 sides by agricultural rural. The applicant will provide bottled water. For sanitation, they're proposing 1 chemical toilet and an additional ADA compliant chemical toilet, as well as 1 hand washing station. Fremont County Sheriffs and Colorado State Patrol have been notified of this event. There was no comments, or there was an approved fire protection plan back from Life Safety Officer Austin Bruinger, of the Canyon City Fire Protection District. Access is off of Highway 50. They have an approved traffic plan through CDOT. Let's see, Department of Public Health just requests if any food vendors are outside of Fremont County that they submit a vendor packet with a current license to the health department for review. There is insurance for the event. As for conditions, if food vendors are not licensed with Fremont County, an approval from the health department will be required. A contingency would be a board approval for the chemical toilets and a waiver request for the surety bond. With all that being said, having found the application is in compliance with the requirements of the Fremont County zoning resolution, staff recommends approval of the temporary use permit application with the following contingency, and that would be the waiver of the surety bond and the approval of the use of chemical toilets. That is all.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan? Nope. Congratulations on appeasing CDOT. Sometimes that's difficult.
It's a miracle.
I saw you guys doing the work up there, and I thought, wow, that was quick, because
Wasn't a quick process, but
it actually was.
It was a costly
believe it or not.
process.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's amazing what, anyway, that's a different discussion for a different day.
right.
Congratulations for getting that far.
Thank you.
So, I have nothing else. I'll entertain a motion.
I do have a quick question.
Okay.
What are the hours that you are going to be open during those weeks?
Yeah, so the weekend of the 14th of September, the 21st, the 28th, and then October 5th, both Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4, both days.
Okay, thank you.
Any polka happening there?
No polka.
No
No
polka.
polka, okay.
That's vintage, isn't it?
Pretty vintage.
Pretty much.
Well, Mr. Chair, if you would like a motion?
Absolutely.
I would move that we approve TUP 24-007, 950 Junction for the vintage flea market for the 4 consecutive weekends from September 14 to October 6, located at 43880 West US Highway 50 in Canyon, and including the contingency for the approval of the chemical toilets and the approval of the waiver, the surety bond waiver.
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve TUP 24-007
And no polka.
for 950 Junction with no polka, with contingencies, board approval of the chemical toilets and approval of the surety bond waiver. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye,
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
and good luck.
Thank you, guys.
I
I've
hope
been
it goes
watching
well
that
for
for
you.
a long time, wondering what's going to happen, and then the sign pops up, and I think, what's going to happen with that place? And then
You aren't the only one. Yeah. Sometimes when we have our gate open, we have some drop-ins.
just see what's going on, yeah. Well, good luck.
And just kidding, you can have as much polka as you want, actually.
That's okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 5 is the 2022 Fremont County Financial Statement and Management Letter. And we have Kyle Logan here from Logan and Associates LLC this morning. Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be here.
It's really good to see you.
Yes, likewise. Okay, well, to start off with, I'm here to present the results of the county's 2022 financial statements audit. I am the owner of Logan and Associates, the county's independent audit firm. And so I'll kind of go through our process as far as what we do during our audit, touch on some highlights in the financial statements, and then talk about the management letter. So anyway, we start out our process with communicating with the finance department, Sean and his staff, and we pick samples of like cash disbursements, of payroll transactions, building permit transactions, just to see that, to look at the internal controls and the procedures in place so that we can place some reliance on those as far as related to our audit. And also to make sure that, money that's leaving the county or being paid to vendors and employees has proper approvals, proper supporting documentation, and is being reported in the accounting records correctly. We also, look at commissioner minutes of the meetings, looking at what approvals have been made throughout the year, what contracts have been entered into to see if they have any financial impact on the financial statements, okay? We send third-party confirmation letters out to all the financial institutions to make sure that the money that the treasurer is reporting for the county is what the financial statement institutions are holding as well. We also confirm with the state, sales tax numbers, confirm with the county treasurer the property tax revenues that are being collected. And we also spend time looking and analyzing certain accounts on the balance sheets of the funds of the county, looking also at certain revenues and expenditures. And, in order to give us a comfort in issuing an opinion on the financial statements. And so also part of your financial statement package is the single audit, because the county receives and spends over $750,000 of federal monies. You're required to have what's called a single audit, and that is where we pick certain programs that the county has had throughout the year, and we test those for certain compliance requirements as directed by the federal grants. And so this past year, we picked three federal grant programs to do that testing of compliance, testing of the internal controls over those grants as well. We also do comparisons, comparing 2022 with 2021. And I know Sean was kind of new, but as far as comparing, knowing what happened in 2021 and comparing it to 2022, he did a good job of helping me understand why there may have been changes between the years, okay? And so again, after I do all that process, me and my staff, that gives me a level of comfort in order to issue an opinion on the financial statements. And so following the table of contents in the financial statement packet is the opinion, the independent auditor's report. And in that report, the most important section of that 3-page report is the opinions. And so for the year ended December 31st, 2022, the county received an unmodified opinion. Well, what that means in layman's terms, that's a clean opinion. And what that tells you as a Board of Commissioners is that all the numbers in this document, all the footnotes in this document are fairly stated and materially correct as of December 31st, 2022. So that's the best that you can receive from an independent auditor, okay? So getting into the financial statements, following the independent auditor's report is what's called as the management's discussion and analysis. And this is required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board for reporting. And so basically what that is, it's a written narrative of certain highlights over the past year in 2022, comparing 2022 with 2021, and providing some tables in there. And then following the MD&A, we get into the basic financial statements. And so page 1, this is a statement of net position. It's like your balance sheet. This is a snapshot picture at December 31st, 2022 of all the county's assets, all the county's liabilities, and its net position or net worth. And so when the county has all governmental funds. Okay, you have a combination, your general fund, which is your main operating fund, several special revenue funds, and some capital projects funds, okay? And so this statement here shows all those funds combined into one, and it also includes your capital assets and your long-term debt, which reports that you receive throughout the year from finance staff. It doesn't always include the capital assets and long-term debt. It's more of budgetary type information and current period results. And so when we're looking at the statement of net position there on page 1, your total assets for the year was $85.5 million. Okay, that's an increase of about $5.9 million. Part of that increase is attributed to that second tranche of the ARPA money that you received during the year that you haven't spent yet as of the end of December. So, and then what makes up your capital assets, or what makes up your total assets? Your capital assets, $35.4 million, that's 41% of your total assets, so that's a big chunk. Your cash and investments is the biggest piece at $38.3 million, which makes up 45%. Okay, so that's good. Property taxes receivable at $6.9 million makes up another 8%. So between those three categories, we have over 90% of your assets in those three categories. Your total liabilities, these are claims, against the county or debts that are owed by the county to vendors or bondholders. Total liabilities, $32.8 million. That's an increase of about $2.2 million. Biggest portion of that increase is, again, related to that ARPA money that you received that you haven't spent yet. So we show it as like an unearned revenue, okay? And your liabilities are made up of, the biggest piece is your long-term debt. At $19.1 million is 58% of your liabilities. And then the other big piece, as I mentioned, is the unearned revenues of $9.9 million, which is 30%. And again, that's grants that have been received, or federal funds, state funds that have been received that haven't been spent yet, okay? Then we get down to the net position, or net worth of the county. And so when we look at that, it's $45.4 million, which is an increase of $3.7 million. So what that tells you is that you basically had a net income of $3.7 million over the past year for countywide for all funds, okay? And of that net position, your investment in your capital assets, net of the related debt, is $16.3 million. Your restricted amounts is $9.9 million. The restrictions are related to like TABOR, debt service requirements on your long-term debt, and unspent lottery monies. And then the unrestricted piece at $19.3 million, which is the largest part, I look at that and I compare that to current year expenses on page 2. And so if we were to look at that, your expenses of about $45 million, yet you have approximately 5 months in operations in your unrestricted monies. So what that means is if for whatever reason you weren't receiving sales taxes or property taxes, the county could function, okay? So that covers page 1, statement of net position. The next page, page 2, is your statement of activities. This is like your income statement, okay? And so your expenses, $45.3 million. That's an increase of $6.8 million. And when you look at it, there's not one single thing we can identify that caused that increase. It's kind of across all departments of the county. Your program revenues, and these are revenues that are related specifically to a department or division of the county. And so those include your charges for services and then operating and capital grants that are related to a specific purpose. So your charges for services are about $3.7 million, a slight decrease over the prior year. Your operating grants and contributions and capital grants were at $16.4 million. That increased 18%. And again, that includes spending some of that first tranche of the ARPA money that was spent in '22. And then after the program revenues, over on the right side there, we have the general revenues. And so your general revenues are basically the revenues that are used to backfill all the expenses of the county that are not funded by either charges for services or certain grants, okay? And so your general revenues made up primarily of your taxes, okay? And so, your property and specific ownership taxes, $7.1 million, pretty comparable to '21, okay? And your sales and use taxes at $17.8 million, again, pretty comparable as well. So, but the biggest change is your interest. We're finally getting some decent rates on your investments. So, you're invested in C-Safe and Colo Trust, and I think those are, well, they're between 5% and 6%, and I believe they were for the entire year of '22. So, $437,000 in interest. Big increase, $340,000. So compared to prior years. So hopefully that will continue. Okay, and then we get down to as I mentioned before, the change in net position or your net income of $3.7 million, and so that increased your equity or your net position by 9% over 2021. Okay. Pages 3 through 5, these are what we call the fund financial statements, and so this shows the individual funds of the county, and the accounting standards require certain funds to be reported as what they call major funds, and so that's your general fund, transportation, human services, and sales and use tax funds. Okay, and then all your other funds are considered non-major. And they are combined back on pages 32 and 33. And so that last column, or second to the last column there, is other governmental funds. That includes all these smaller funds, okay? And so again, pages 3 through 5 are very similar to pages 1 and 2, except for we don't have the capital assets or long-term debt reported there, okay? And then at the bottom of page 3, we show the reconciliation to page 1. And then also on page 5, we show the reconciliation of page 4 to page 2. Okay. Page 6, statement of fiduciary funds. So the county receives funds that they hold for outside parties. And so they're purely in a custodial nature. So what that means is the county can't touch it, okay? And so those are reported in this. The details of these activities are back on pages 41 and 42. And for example, we have the inmate commissary monies, we have the public trustee monies, and then monies that are owed to other local governments that are held by the treasurer. So that's the significant amounts that are made up in the fiduciary funds, okay? So that kind of covers the financials. Now we get into the notes to the financial statements, pages 8 through 27. And so the accounting standards require certain things to either be discussed more in detail of numbers that are presented up on page 1, or just certain things that the county follows as far as like significant accounting policies, which that's made up of majority of the footnotes, pages 6 through 17. And then pages 16 and 17, we have the budgetary footnote. And, you know, each year when the county adopts the budget for the next year, state statute says, well, you can't spend more than you expect to, or more than you adopt. You do have the opportunity to amend the budgets if you like. And so that's what this disclosure here is for, because we look at that for each fund to make sure that you haven't overspent what was appropriated. We did this year have a couple funds that were overspent, and this may have actually been caused by some of the audit adjustments that we made. But from our standpoint, you know, again, not a significant thing. If we did not disclose that, you get a letter from the state auditor's office saying you overspent your funds, but you didn't tell us. So anyway, again, that's not a big deal from us. The airport fund and the conservation trust fund were the two. Then following the budgetary footnote, we have the cash and investments footnote, which again provides certain required disclosures there. And on page 20 there, it talks about Colo Trust and C-Safe. And you can see that about 25 million of your cash and investments is deposited within these two, and that's where you're earning your interest, okay? And then the other 14 million is in cash and in the local banks. Following the cash and investments footnote, we have the interfund balances and transfers, and so you have certain funds that either by adopted budget, you transfer monies between, or perhaps to reimburse another fund for making expenditures on behalf. And so that's one thing, you know, we look at to see that the transfers all balance out between all the funds and the due to, due froms. And again, the due to, due froms, those are more of a timing issue, saying that something was paid for by this fund, but it didn't get reimbursed until the following month or at a later date, okay? So again, that's just something that's required disclosure there. Following the balances and transfers is the capital assets footnote. And again, this is like a table that shows all the assets that are owned by the county, whether it's, you know, buildings, infrastructure, vehicles and equipment, and then the related depreciation on those. And then on pages 23 and 24, this is your long-term debt. And so it has the certificates of participation, or the COPs that have been issued. You know, in 2021, we refunded some previous ones in order to get better interest rates. And so currently we have the 2016, 2019, and 2021 issues out there, and the 2016 will be paid off in 23. So then you'll just have the two remaining. Following our long-term debt footnote, we get into the well, got my notes out of order here, so I apologize. Get into the employee benefits that the county offers, you know, the retirement plan, health insurance, life insurance. And then finally, on the last two pages, 26 and 27, we have the risk management or insurance that the county holds for, you know, property, casualty, liability, and workers' comp. And then also the required disclosures about Tabor, the E911 authority, that although it's encompassed in the county, it's not part of the reporting of the county. And then also we put it in there, you know, litigation, because there's ongoing litigation throughout the year for every county I've been auditing always has that. So we just kind of put that in there just to make the readers aware, okay? So that covers the footnotes. Following the footnotes are the pages 28 through 31, required supplementary information. And this is primarily the budgetary comparison schedules for those 4 main funds: general fund, transportation, human services, and the sales and use. And then on pages 32 through 42, this is the combining and individual fund schedules and statements. And again, you can see that we have all these smaller funds that are reported here. And following the balance sheet there on page 32 and the income statement on page 33, we have the budgetary schedule comparisons for each fund following that. And so that kind of covers what we call I refer to as the financial statements. This last section is a single audit. And so, as I mentioned earlier, you're required to have a single audit. The county received and spent over $11 million in federal funds during 2022. And if we look at pages 54 or not 54, I'm sorry, 56 and 58 through 58, this is a schedule of expenditures of federal awards. And so it lists all the grant monies that the county has received and spent. And of course, the significant amount of that is DHS. Okay. So part of our single audit is that, we're required to pick a certain amount of federal awards. And so this past year, we looked at the ARPA money because of it had never been tested by us as auditors, and because of the dollar amounts that were spent, we had to include that. So that one we looked at. We looked at the Medicaid assistance program again, because last time we tested it was 2 years ago, and so these certain programs that are considered major programs, every 2 years we have to test them. So we get on a kind of a rolling cycle here. And then the last one, the small one we had to include was the roads to schools or schools to and roads grants, okay? So as part of our single audit, we look at internal controls over compliance. We look at internal controls over the financial statements. And this year we had some findings related to that. Part of it was on page 49 there, we had the first finding where we talk about the financial reporting. And that's just the thing that happened. As I was talking earlier, you kind of had the perfect storm. In 2022, you had the cyber attack, you had turnover in staff, and so it allowed for, I guess, things to put it in layman's terms, the ball got dropped in certain areas. And so when we were going through the audit, we found some accounts that just weren't making sense and reconciling. I never at any time during my audit process did I have any concerns about, money missing or anything like that. It was just a matter of learning the processes and reconciling these certain accounts between the treasurer and the finance department and just making sure that everything was reported in the current period. So again, because we had to make some adjustments to get the financial statements to where they are, and because we're under this single audit, that's considered a finding, okay? And so, I know it's a learning process for everybody involved, and so I'm hopeful that going forward, we'll be able to remove this and just continue on, okay? On page 50, we have 50 and 51 are pretty comparable. These are findings on the federal awards. And because 2021's financial statement audit was so late in being filed, there is a reporting that we have to do electronically called the data collection form. And so this is due to them within either 30 days of receiving your audit or 9 months after the year end. So September 30th, 2023, okay? And so in 2021, we presented the financial statements in January 27th of 2023. And so we missed that deadline. And so by default, within the federal regs, I had to put this in here, okay? Just because we were late. This will probably be repeated again for 2023 or 2022, so, okay? Then the next one, the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, there was, as we were going through and compiling it and working with Sean and Rachel, we come across a grant that hadn't been reported in the prior year. And so I think part of that is because, again, turnover in staff at the finance level, person who was tracking these grants had moved on, and I don't think that knowledge transfer was made. The good thing about it is in 2022, the grant administrator position was created. And so that was I'll tell you, that was a huge help for putting together this year's schedule of federal awards, all the work that Rachel did. It was a big help. And so I'm hopeful that this is gonna go away too in the future. But again, it's something we had to report because that grant was missed. And then finally, the last one, this here is actually related to our testing on the ARPA money. And I know, talking with staff, I think, again, it just kind of fell through the cracks where, you know, when federal funds are spent and paid to vendors, there's a requirement that a vendor cannot be suspended or debarred from receiving federal monies. And so there's actually a website, sam.gov, that you can go out to and search for excluded parties. And I know in earlier years that process happened. But again, I think because of turnover and things, it just didn't happen. It fell through the cracks. Now, is there any question cost related to it? Well, I don't know that there are any because we picked a sample of those vendors and we looked them up to see if they had been, and we found none. So in my mind, there are no question costs because there wasn't anybody on that list that was paid, okay, in our sample. So again, this is something that going forward I expect to be eliminated, but that's something we've talked about is making sure that, you know, contracts, when they're being entered into, that search happens with these vendors to make sure, and that it's documented. And I've had some clients where they actually put a clause or a paragraph in their contracts saying that whoever the proposer is affirming to the county that they have not been suspended or debarred. And that, under the federal regs, has been accepted as being okay, okay? So that's really, I just kind of wanted to go through these findings. Nothing that would cause me to change my opinions, okay? But, and all four of them, I'm hopeful that they can be eliminated going forward, okay? So following the single audit is the local highway finance report. There are the very last two pages, pages 59 and 60. Again, because the county receives highway users' tax monies, years ago it was written into legislation that you got to include this report in the audited financial statements, and this isn't a favorite report of us auditors because no two entities prepare it the same way. So anyway, but we do look at it and to make sure that the numbers make sense. But really, that's all we do on that part, okay? Before I talk about the management letter, any questions on the financials? I know that's a lot of information I threw at you in a short amount of time, but.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment.
Yes.
One thing I would like to say is a couple of times this morning, Kyle, you've stood before us and explained a couple of things here that are not necessarily completely complementary to Fremont County. And I know you've said, and this is here because it has to be here, it's required for us to report this. What I want to say is, even if it wasn't required, we would still ask that you put those things into writing, because we are above all transparent. We want the citizens of Fremont County and everyone else to know what is happening here, what does happen here. If we miss the ball somehow, we need to report that. We need to do better in the future. And so I just wanted to bring attention to that and say, you know, we do understand that, as you said, it was a perfect storm. Things did not happen perfectly throughout this entire audit year, but we have recovered. We have made changes. We will not be making those same mistakes in the future. That cyber attack was to blame for a lot of the non-training, a lot of the mistraining, misunderstood issues, but we are overcoming those. And so I just want to make that very clear, that transparency is what's important to us.
Yes.
And I think that this particular document does that. So I just want to say thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, and that's something, you know, we do look at. We look at those things, but I'm not going to report every little thing that I find. I look at it and say, okay, is this significant enough that it could change the financials? And so that kind of is where I draw the line and report it to you. But yes, we do want transparency. Exactly.
And I guess, Kyle, to just kind of touch on that, it's significant that it could change the financial state. But in this case, I mean, everything was rectified, but if it continued, it could be a terrible thing. Yeah. And so those steps that are actually mentioned in these have already been put into place to help with the next audit, and already been rectified, and so we shouldn't see this again, because, yeah, if it did continue, it would have probably never found what happened. And so it is a good thing that we have those, and you pushing Sean and them, and they did a great job of it. But it's like Commissioner Bell said, Sean started when we had no computers in this building because they were shut down because of cyber attack. So he kind of, abacus, and it didn't transfer over when he pushed the button somehow. But so it's been a frustrating time for them. But I want to appreciate them, what they've done as well on this because of that, and to find those things with your help, of course, to figure out where there's problems so that they don't continue, and makes it easier.
And that's the thing going through this process. You know, I have a tendency to want to jump in and help find it, but I got to step back, being your auditor, because then we start looking at independence issues. So but they did a great job of rectifying things and getting us to where we are today. So. And any other questions? I'll talk about the management letter, but a lot of the stuff here in the management letter is what I already talked about, related to the findings. And again, this document is required by our professional standards to communicate to you, the governing board of the county. And so it talks about our responsibilities as your auditors. We talk about, there on the second page, these are the things that I just discussed in the findings that we had, okay? And so I won't go back over those, but, we look at those because they related to internal controls. And then, we go on, talk about accounting estimates, if there were any changes in the methods there, changes in accounting policies, there were none. Significant audit adjustments, we talked about that already, related to getting the financial statements adjusted. And then, if we had any issues or difficulties with management during the audit, well, you would have heard from me before today if we did, so that's a good thing. I know the staff worked really hard to get us to where we are today. And then the last part, as part of our audit process, we have an IT consultant come in and look at all your computers and your information systems. And we don't look at every single department every year, but we kind of rotate them. And so the one thing that has come up over the years is the accounting system for the commissary of the inmates. And I know we talked with sheriff, and I know his office is they're in the process of making changes over there. So that'll be something we'll follow up with again this next year to see where we're at in that process. But it was just, it was an old system, and it was when she tried contacting, or even someone from the sheriff's office tried contacting the old software people, they couldn't ever get any answers. So it's moving forward. I think there's hopefully making some good progress with this new system, and that's one thing we'll look at. Okay. And finally, I know I said it a couple times, but I want to thank Sean and Sheriff and all the staff here. Gosh, they have the hard part in all this, especially being new to the county, because really it takes time to get up to speed in an organization of this size, and with little or no help, knowledge transfer, just because of everything that happened in that time frame. Things were being concentrated, or other things were being concentrated on. So I really appreciate their help in getting through this, and hopefully didn't cause them too many sleepless nights. But we do. I do appreciate all the work that they do for us.
Okay, thank you. As mentioned, I'd like to just say, some of those internal controls have already been put into place. I think we've got a pretty good solid staff now, and shouldn't have to worry about that turnover deal, but we've also, they're working with each other, so if one of them happens to leave, it's not going to just fall apart again. Right. It was kind of probably a sleepless night or two for them trying to find where that problem was, but once they found it, it was rectified pretty quickly.
Yep.
And it was just a step that was missed, like you said.
Yep.
The ball was just dropped on those, and it was a learning deal as well. And I can't read the rest of the notes that I wrote down, but do you guys have any other comments?
Just thank you, Kyle. Riveting as always. But I always appreciate this, and the other two have already, stated kind of where we're at as far as putting some of those internal controls in place, and I think we're positioned for a good report next year.
Yeah.
Having those things in place, and knowing now that we got Sean, a solar calculator instead of the abacus, we should be able to move forward on getting these things improved. So, thank you.
Yeah.
And I would just echo again the thanks to our staff. We have rock stars in our finance department, and I would say this has caused more than a couple of sleepless nights, a couple of months of sleepless nights. It has been really rough, but we're so happy that you're here today with the report that you have for us, because we know how good our people are, and we just want to let everyone else know that as well. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I would just like to note that this is not a public hearing, but we do have one citizen that wishes to say something. Tim Jordan. Yeah. Come on up.
Tim Jordan, 844 Sumo Avenue in Florence. So what I wanted to talk about was the audits. Back in August, I asked the district attorney for copies of her checks. So I got them, and one of those checks was made out to, I believe, her auditor. So instead of asking her for her audit, I asked the OSA for her audit. So they said we're going to have to core request that, so I did. And, well, let me back up, I misspoke. So I asked them, they said her audit has not been submitted yet, she got an extension. I said, okay, how long? They said 60 days. I said, somewhere I can go find that? They said, no, you're going to have to core request it. So I did. I said, is there a website I can go to pull this stuff up so I don't have to court request everyone? They said, yeah. So I went to it. And when I went to it, I went down and I started looking at the entities, and it was right at the end of July, beginning of August, when most of the entities' audits are due. And I noticed there was 2 or 3 that had 2023 submitted, but other ones were still 2022. But I noticed the county didn't have 2022 submitted. The last one that was submitted was 2021. So I called him and I said, okay, what's up? I said, was there extensions or whatever. So I court requested and I got back the notices, I don't want to call them delinquencies, but of withholdings where they said to send a letter over or notification to the treasurer to withhold funds for 2022, but there was apparently also in 2021. So it looks like 2022's gotten in late, but 2021 was late as well. So I understand the thing with transparency and all that. I don't remember anything publicly announced of withholding money or anything like that. If that happens in the future, can there be some kind of public announcement, something like that to put the public on notice that says, hey, we have a problem, we filed for an extension, we still can't get it in, the treasurer's having to withhold money. I don't even know how much money is being withheld. Does anyone know how much money is being withheld by the treasurer's office? And if, once it goes in, is it going to be released? So I would assume so. So the other thing was, I court requested Chaffey County for Ms. Stanley's finances and some emails. And there was an email in here that there looked like from me reading it, there was some tension between the district attorney's office and the 4 counties about not getting the increase. So she mentioned in here, I think her name's Marjo Souza, says, I have not heard a word from anyone, so I reached out to Sheriff's Hall on January 16th, she said it should have been paid by now too. That was talking about the 5% increase. And then she would look into it. She later emailed me back that she apparently didn't give the invoice to AP and is now being processed. The payment will be ready next Tuesday, January 23rd. Sheriff's gave me another email address to send future invoices to for payment and CC the finance officer, Mr. Sean Sutton, for a status of the budget increase. But as of yet, I have not heard anything. I can't keep waiting and waiting on funds that pay our bills and payroll. We now have a set payment terms of net 10 to hopefully alleviate some of my frustrations on getting our revenue checks back in a timely manner. Mr. Sutton come back and then did answer and said, hey, look, because of the special session, the budgets weren't approved. But it just looks like there's some tension there. Sheriff's name is mentioned in the management letter. There's stuff about AP. I don't know what AP is, advanced placement, accounts payable. I'm not sure. But it looks like this one here took a long time, 2022, to get done. I could see with the malware, that being an issue, and that was put in the request for an extension. But it looks like also there was something in 2021 as well. And if it's a turnover or something like that, I get it. I'm just kind of surprised that it seems like 2021, 2022, and now 2023. I don't know if you're late on those, if you filed for an extension, or where you're even at on that. So
Yeah, so let me answer those, Tim, and then a little bit. So yes, 2021 was late, but it was also mentioned in Kyle's report just now.
Sure.
And 2022 there was an extension, which is still in effect right now, but we'll have this put in. Once it goes in, those monies will be released. I don't know the amounts of those. What else were there? Accounts payable is what AP is. I think that's, I don't know what Chaffey County had to do with this, because you brought Chaffey County up.
Well, I had court requested them
Yeah.
for their disbursements to the
Because
district
theirs is
attorney's
different
office.
than ours. They didn't approve a 5% increase, and we did, so theirs would be totally different.
Well,
than
I
ours,
asked
but-
for emails as
Yeah.
well, so that's where it come up.
So,
with
so
cash.
that tension, there was a special session which delayed all the budgets. Everybody's budget had to wait till the 1st of January to get approved, because we couldn't do it on the timely manner like normal. Therefore, it pushed everything back. Most other bills were paid. I mean, the county still ran. We haven't been defunct on any payments or anything because of any of these things. So, we're actually in pretty good shape. It just took some time to figure out those accounting errors, which were fixed.
Thank you. Do you want what I got? You want any of my stuff I got from the OSA or anybody else? Do you guys?
I don't think so. Does anybody?
as one does.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else, Kyle? We're good?
No, I don't believe so. I think
Okay.
we're good.
All right.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have one more item on this agenda, which is item number 6, which is resolution number 31, series of 2024, and it's authorizing an issuance of a biannual alcohol beverage license. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Eric Bellis to talk about this one for a second.
The reason for this resolution is that, similar to many other places, Colorado has a dual licensing system for alcohol beverage licenses, meaning that there is a state licensing system in counties like Fremont. Fremont County also licenses establishments within the unincorporated portions of the county. The municipalities do the same with establishments within the city limits of those municipalities. That is all regulated pursuant to Title 44 of the revised statutes. This year, Senate Bill 24-231 substantially amended Title 44, and it authorized, among other things, biennial licenses, that is, licenses that are good for 2 years instead of the previous annual licenses, but only if the local licensing authority, in this case Fremont County, authorizes 2-year licenses by adoption of a resolution. In an effort, this board has always been clear that it wants to promote economic development and wants to impose the least burden upon businesses, small businesses within the community as possible. So this resolution just authorizes the issuance of alcohol beverage licenses that last for 2 years instead of every 1 year. Businesses will now come in, they'll get their notice instead of annually. They'll get their notice that their license is about to expire every 2 years. They will come in, they will do that application process half as often. Doesn't really change anything else except that instead of doing it annually, they're now doing it every 2 years.
Okay. Well explained there, I think.
Yep.
Commissioners?
Agree. No questions? I have a motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution Number 31, Series of 2024, authorizing the issuance of biennial alcohol beverage licenses.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31, series of 2024, authorizing the issuance of biannual alcohol beverage licenses, which will minimize the administrative part on these businesses and hopefully make it a little easier for them. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. With no further business before us, we are adjourned.